So, in our today's conversation, Prasanna, I was just wondering that we all are appreciative of this meditative quality. We would want meditation in our life in a way. If not directly, we call it meditation, we would want definitely mindfulness through the activities that we are engaged in, be it writing, be it reading, or our own job. We would want a little peace of mind. So the purpose of meditation definitely is not for enlightenment. It is for easing ourselves and calming down ourselves. But then when we get into it, a lot of times the way a lot of teachers who talk about meditation, particularly the gurus, they are talking about it in the context of how somebody got enlightened or how that technique enlightens you. The purpose is not that, but probably their point is that it's so powerful that it can enlighten. But we are at the basic level, and our purpose is simple: to organize our life in a way. So what I wanted to start the conversation with first is to share each of us what our meditation first experience would have been like, or what was it like. And I'm sure it wouldn't have been something which you really enjoyed. But what then kept us going on through that? So let's just start with, what was your first experience like?
Yeah. So, Sandesh, and whatever I can recall, I'm definitely sure I was not calling it as meditation for sure. It was something which I started as a relaxation technique, and it was part of the exercise regime, you can say, after completing the exercise, relaxing for some time. Same way in case of yogasans, people who do yoga, they do shavasana and other breathing techniques, pranayama. Similarly, as a part of exercise, I used to relax. And that relaxation itself, I would now retrospectively, of course, that time again, let me be honest, I was not even aware that this can be part of meditation or connected to meditation in some way or other. Because as you rightly said, meditation for me was something which yogis, sannyasis, once they do, that's where Valmikis are created. But that is what it definitely was not was far off. So there was no reason to imagine or connect it. But now, as we are discussing here, I can retrospectively see that it is nothing but that itself was a meditation for me, and it was for a very short time, maybe 5 minutes or so maximum. But that state of being aware, yet being kind of relaxed and unaware. So that's something which is in between that state. I see it as a meditation. So it is not the state of sleeping. It is not about doing it and going to a good nice sleep, because that can also be confused. It may start as a practice for meditation and we end up at sleeping, but that's not. At the same time, being aware and fully doing what we are doing is also not. So that state of being in one place and not doing anything is meditation. And that's what I had that experience in the beginning.
Right. And for me, it was very different because you were lucky in that sense. At least you knew what you were doing. Because when I recollect my first encounter with meditation as such, like consciously, was when I think we were in 5th or 6th standard, and one of our history teachers was on a long leave somewhere. She was traveling probably for some vacation or something. And in schools, how when a teacher is on a long break, then somebody else replaces them for that given time. And for the first time, there was one sir who his name was Bellur. We used to call him Bellur sir. And he was a teacher who was teaching high school students. So he was deployed here. And now this is post-lunch class. Now post-lunch social studies class, you imagine how it must have been.
Okay.
And then he said, we were hoping that he will leave us out for games period or something like that you go and play sports on the playground. And but he said, now we will do meditation. And we were supposed to sit like this, close your eyes, and then just focus on your breathing. And imagine you have had a nice lunch, and then right after that at 1:40, you are closing your eyes, so you would tend to doze off. Then you are doing like this, just opening one eye, trying to see. And then he would be ready with a chalk, like to throw at you, and please meditate. So, okay. And then once I opened the eyes and there was nobody. So I said, okay, where is he? Like looking through the corridor. Then I stepped slowly, like kids, no, like not just me, but like three, four of us, like stepped outside and then trying to peep outside of the parapet. So we are on the first floor, we could see at a distance. And then you see at a distance, Bellur sir sipping chai. And then he sees at us angrily. And then, so that was the first encounter where somebody in the most unmeditative way forcing us to meditate. But it was like for 3 or 4 weeks, I think. I don't remember, but it was for many sessions like this. And after that, suddenly, that social studies class looked so interesting. Probably that teacher had really, after her travel and excursion, had become interesting, or probably that meditating was so boring that this seemed more interesting. But whatever is the reason, whenever you observe Bellur sir, there was a certain calm composure. And that was very interesting. No matter how stressful the situation was, no matter what the situation around was, he would always be calm and composed with it. And you could sense that he's pretending to get angry, but he would not hurt us or he would not hit us or any of that. And that was something which felt like, okay. And then he talked about meditation when we were in the high school also. So something is there which is very interesting, despite, your back-breaking sessions and despite feeling bored uh, to death, you would want to still do it. And somewhere that kind of instigated. And for the longest period, there was also a resistance because I don't want to get enlightened. I don't want to renounce everything because meditation for me was associated with that. And then you would want to try and explore. But then the moment it became clear within that meditation's purpose is not for renouncement or let go of everything that you have, but to really organize with whatever you have and be at ease. And I think that is where it started for me. So yeah, I mean, we have two different experiences, early experiences.
Absolutely. And as you rightly said, when two people are discussing, they have two different experiences. I'm 100% sure with 100 people discussing, there will be 100 different experiences, which means that maybe the way each one of us has a personal philosophy in life. Even meditation is very personal to each one of us. So there is no particular definition. And when things don't have a particular definition, they will not have a particular method or a process. And that's exactly the point. If you see, many people have different ways of meditation. Even the schools of meditation, whether coming from Vipassana or coming from the yogic way of doing meditation or transcendental meditation. So these are all different schools because there are different methods. And I'm also not sticking to these schools. There might be individual methods also, which a person may develop or evolve while doing meditation. And that works for that person. And that is more important rather than I trying to copy your way or you trying to copy my style. And I think what is more important is to find our own way of doing meditation.
Yeah, yeah. And what you say is very interesting because the other day I was also confused, like which way to go, which path to follow. There is this technique, there is this technique. Which should I do? And I was speaking with somebody that, okay, that in the morning, can I practice this? And in the evening, can I practice this? Said, see, all the paths are taking you from one point to another point. And you don't have to, you cannot be on two paths simultaneously. So one important thing which I kind of realized is that, like, let's say I'm traveling from Bangalore to Bombay. And there are many buses traveling from here. I can be on one bus itself, unless I'm Ajay Devgan, that I can stand on two buses and travel. But that's risky. So probably whatever path we kind of follow, we just take that one path and just be with that is what kind of senses. Like, so do you think that whatever path you are following, that can evolve? Yes, certainly. But going on that one path rather than trying different things, this is not working. Oh, 3 months it did not work, so now I do this. And again, you start from zero. Again, 3 months it does not work, then you do this. Do you see a benefit of following single path?
I think so, because first thing is, as you said, trying different things can be a good way to explore, of course, because once I have some inputs which I have heard from, as you said, the experts or the gurus, this is the way to do it. But the moment I start doing things in a different way or try different things, I may strike a chord. Like for example, I tell you one application which I had tried in the past, somewhere in the year 2019ish, I think I started it, was Headspace. And monogamy is Headspace. Now, Headspace had some things which were very new to me. The way he does visualization, the way he uses light, for example, sunlight, the movement of sunlight in your body and how it moves. So that kind of imagination and visualization. Or the way he looks at thoughts as a cloud passing through the sky. So the sky is always intact, but then your thought is just a passing cloud. And when you have these kind of metaphors, I think it helps you in understanding your thoughts better rather than then chasing behind those thoughts or trying to avoid them. You start observing and acknowledging them. So I think these are the different ways which come out when you try. So I agree with you. I think one should keep exploring rather than finalizing something and saying that this is my way and the right way. Like I have experienced that being open adds more value.
Yeah. And going and evolving, like you said, exploring, you kind of keep evolving, building upon that technique and really working with it. Now, somebody who, if they are working with a guru or a teacher who is telling them a certain technique, they will always most likely insist. And I'm just wanted to touch this point, Prasanna, because I feel it's necessary. They insist that you don't question the technique. You follow what is given. Because there is enough probably research, enough backing that is there for that. They have a repository of work. You don't have to again diverge from that and then try doing something else and in the process harm yourself instead. So they would probably say from that point of view. And there is a noble intention in many cases. So I'm not questioning the gurus. But a lot of times we assume that questioning the technique is wrong as questioning the guru is wrong. And a lot of times then you start believing everything that guru is saying. And there might be, and then these days gurus are also talking about politics, geopolitics, sociology, and what is happening with environment and everything. And we don't have to necessarily believe in everything, or we should not be not questioning that. Yeah. I think it is necessary to kind of question because we have the education, the ability to question. And if we are not using that faculty, it's futile. I'm not saying that then you disagree with their techniques, but we confuse that and then blind faith starts. So one has to also be cautious of, are we in blind faith while meditating?
Absolutely. And the way you question the methods, I think it is also important to question oneself about what one is doing. Because just imagine, Shantesh, if someone is saying that I do this kind of meditation for 10 years or 20 years, and this is what is the right way to do it, I know the best way. If that is the conclusion of a person, then just imagine if at the end of so much time spending on meditation is bringing only arrogance within the person, then it's an utter waste of that time. That's the irony which is there with meditation. If you see,
one can probably say that they have 20 years of experience, but the focus would have been different. It would be two different things if one is focusing on what is the outcome and one is focusing on I have done this. So whether the I is in the center or the technique is in the center needs to be really closely looked at and questioned.
And although it may apply all the fields, irrespective of which field you are, the moment your I comes, you are actually spoiling the whole thing there because you are bringing your arrogance and ego there rather than the humility to learn. But especially in case of meditation, it's very, very ironical because the whole game was about getting out of your I. And if at the end of it, it is only strengthening and hitting your I, then what a waste it is.
And so one has to therefore be extremely cautious. But essentially, to begin with, we all want to meditate. If the purpose in our head is clear why we want to meditate, then I think the process becomes much more fruitful because a lot of times we are confused between the extremes, the enlightenment and peace of mind. We don't know exactly why we are meditating. So if we kind of set that right and if we start working towards it, it could actually be fruitful, it could be beneficial in a way. So I think I can complete with that from my side. Any final thoughts from your side, Prasanna, and then complete.
So my only thought, so my only last point would be that to continue exploring, and first is to keep doing it. That is more important actually. But the rest of the things will consistency is very important, and if it becomes the discipline, a habit, I think it would be something which people will then do more things with that.
Brilliant. So at that note, we leave our audience with a thought to ponder upon, that we are not here to give you a technique of what meditation should be like or how one should be doing meditation. You are doing in the manner you want to, and that's probably the right manner. So what is it that we are doing? Why is it that we are doing? If we could just inquire that and then focus on it, it might be far more. At that note, we will complete our today's conversation. Thank you so much for listening.